Okay, so what we're going to do today is we are going to work on a study strategy or a test strategy. So go ahead, open your textbook to page 78. You will be doing this lesson mostly on your own today, but I'm going to help you with the strategy to use. So you will need an extra sheet of paper. I forgot, I should have had you get that out, but we'll get that out in a minute. We don't need it this minute. Okay, so once I see everybody on page 78, we will continue. If you are not on page 78 yet, just know that you are holding us up. You've had plenty of time. We are on page 78. So what's going to happen today is you have a passage here on page 78, and you have questions on page 79. What you're going to do is on your own, you're going to read this passage and you're going to answer these questions. You'll use a separate sheet of paper, and I'll tell you exactly how to do that in just a minute. But first, let's look at the best way to answer these questions. We're going to use a test strategy called Right There. So everybody, look at the little bookmark on the top left corner of page 78. Put your finger on it so I know you're ready. Put your finger on that little bookmark on the top of page 78, the top left, that says Test Strategy. Now this is going to help you on your quizzes, this is going to help you on your homework, this is going to help you on independent practice, this is going to help you on a lot of things. The test strategy we're going to use today is called Right There. And what that means is you can literally put your finger on the answer. Look for keywords in the question, then find those keywords in the selection. So, let's look at the questions on page 79. Let's find the keywords. Number 1, what is a food chain? Well, there's only one important word in that, or one important term. What do you think the keyword is in number 1? Zari?
Chain.
Just chain? Sometimes a key, just chain. Sometimes a keyword is more than one. Food chain. So that means as you're reading, if you find the word food chain, put your finger on it. So everybody, in the first paragraph, look for the word food chain. And put your finger on the word food chain in the first paragraph. That's the first block of text on page 78. Put your finger, literally, physically put your finger on that word, that keyword food chain on page 78. Page 78. Not the question, but in the paragraph. Now, what you're going to do, now that you've found that keyword, is you're going to read the sentence around it. In fact, it is a unique paradise for thousands of species of plants and animals, forming a delicate food chain. All they need to survive is each other and a steady supply of precious water. Now let's look at the options for number 1. A is unusual species surviving without water. That doesn't sound like those two sentences I just read. B, early settlers living off natural resources. I didn't even see anything about settlers in those two sentences around food chain. C, plants and animals depending on each other. That sounds pretty similar to those sentences, but should I just go ahead and pick that without even looking at D? No, because what if D is a better answer? C is a good answer, but what if D is better? So let's look at D. Wetlands that provide food and resources. Well, that doesn't sound like it. So what is the answer to number 1? Kingston?
C.
C, plants and animals depending on each other. So does everybody see? Read the questions first, find the key words, then as you're reading, if you find the key word, put your finger on it. Literally, take your finger and put it right there. That's why it's called, that's why the strategy is called Right There. Then reread the sentences around it. Not the whole paragraph, not the whole passage, just the sentences around it. The sentence that it's in, and maybe one more sentence after. Then look at the options, A, B, C, or D, and figure out which one matches the best. In this case, we know that the answer to number 1 is C, plants and animals depending on each other, because the sentence right after food chain says all they need to survive is each other. So you're going to do that with all of these. Then if we look at number 4, why is the Everglades a unique paradise? Well, we're going to find that keyword, unique paradise. Once you find the keywords, unique paradise, you're going to write that reason. You're basically going to write that exact sentence. You may have to write a sentence after, you may have to write a sentence before. You may be able to fully answer the question with that one sentence. So for numbers 1 through 3, find the key word, put your finger on it as you're reading, reread the sentence it's in and maybe one more sentence after, and see which option matches those sentences the best. For numbers 4 and 5, you're going to do the same thing. You just don't have options. You have to come up with it all by yourself, but all the answers are right here. Any questions about the strategy right there? Use your finger, physically use it. Yes, Zadie?
Every question can be answered on this page, right?
Correct. Every single question can be answered by looking at this page. Kingston, yes?
You want to actually like circle them.
No, I don't want you to do it. I'll tell you what to do in just a minute. You're not going to write in your book. I'll tell you what to do in just a minute. Any more questions about right there? Okay, so now everybody get out a separate sheet of paper. Get out a piece of clean white notebook paper. Okay, so now everybody should have their piece of clean paper out. Make sure the big empty area is at the top. And the pink line with the 3 holes is to the left. Once you are sure, at the top, you're going to write your name first and last. Some of you are still only writing your first name as if you are in pre-K, but you are in 4th grade. So first, you write your first and last name. Kingston, come on. What?
No.
Okay, yes. Make sure that the question is either an emergency or has to do with exactly what we're doing right now. First and last name, your number, and today's date. So you have first and last name, not just first name, your number, and today's date. Underneath, you're going to write what the assignment is. Reading, page 79. Reading, page 79. Once you're done, look up. We've already done number 1, so I'm going to show you exactly how to write it. Okay, then you're going to skip maybe 1 line, unless you might have space on the first line, but I'm going to go ahead and skip the first line. And I'm going to put number 1 to the left of my pink line. Number 1 is going to the left of my pink line. Then I am actually going to write out question 1. What is a food chain? Bless you. I'm not going to leave out any capital letters. I'm not going to leave out any punctuation. I'm not going to leave out any words. I'm not going to add extra words. I'm going to check to make sure all of my words are spelled correctly. What is a food chain? That is exactly how it appears in my book. Now, I am not going to write each option. I am only going to write the correct answer. We already know the answer to number 1. I'm going to skip one line. I'm going to put C in a circle. And then I'm going to write all of what it says next to C. Plants and animals, depending, and then I'm going to go down to the next line because I ran out of space. Try to stop. You can see like a pretty light pink line. I don't have that up here. I wish I did. Try to stop there rather than going all the way to the end. So you guys can see like a very light pink line over on the right. Try to stop there. I don't have that, so I went to the end. But try to stop at that pink line. If like 1 or 2 letters goes over the pink line, that's okay. But if you know most or all of a word is not going to fit between where you are and that faint pink line, just go to the next line. Plants and animals depending on each other. And notice how I did not skip lines in my answer, because then I just have too much space. And the whole reason I'm skipping lines is to be able to tell where the question is and where the answer is. Now, I'm done with number 1. So I'm going to go to number 2. I'm going to write the whole question, but I'm not going to do number 3 until I finish number 2. So don't try to pre-write all the questions, because then you might run out of space for an answer. So don't pre-write 2 and then leave 1 line for the answer, and then 3, write the question, leave space for the answer, because then you might run out of space. So for number 2, you will write the question. Once you find the answer, you're only going to write your answer. Then you're going to skip 1 line and go to number 3. Then you're going to write the whole question, skip 1 line, write the whole answer, not all the options, just the whole answer. Don't forget the letter. Don't forget, don't add any punctuation, don't add any capitals, don't take out any punctuation, don't take out any capitals, don't add or take out words. Then for number 4, you don't have options, so you're just going to write 4, write the question, and then answer it underneath. Then you'll skip a line, write 5, write the whole question, skip 1 line, answer it underneath. So does everybody understand how to set up this work? Any questions about how to set it up? Do not try to answer the questions before reading. Use this strategy right there. Hold on. Put your finger on the key words. Read question number 2. Humans upset the Everglades ecosystem. Figure out what the key word is. If you're not sure what the key word is, we'll use all of them as keywords. So if you see Everglades or humans upset or ecosystem, put your finger on it and figure out, do any of those answers work? If they don't, then you probably didn't find the right keyword, and you need to try another one. Yes, Zadie. Nobody should be beginning yet. Everybody's pencil should be down. You don't need to be writing questions. We're not even on number 2.
One time, I wrote like 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then I ran out of room for my answer.
Exactly. So do not pre-write anything, because then you end up running out of space. The only time you could ever pre-write is if you're taking a spelling test on a separate sheet of paper, and you might write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, or however many spelling words, because you know you're only going to take 1 line, because you only have 1 word per line. That is the type of situation where it would be okay to pre-write. But if you have to write more than 1 word, don't pre-write. Just write it as you go. Number 4 and 5, complete sentences. Remember, can you start a sentence with because? Class?
No.
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 Is all you need to do put a capital letter and a period at the end to make a complete sentence, class?
No.
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 Because you also need subject, who or what is doing the action or is something in the sentence. And then 2, the predicate, which is the action or what the subject is. Do not forget to write incomplete sentences. Make sure you fully answer your question. Use text evidence. That means, what does the passage say that told you that was the answer? Text evidence is typically almost exact words from whatever you're reading. Does everybody understand? Those of you at school, when you finish, turn it into the reading tray, the reading and religion tray. Then come back to your desk. You may work on math, independent practice. You may finish daily precept. Those of you at school, finish breakfast for your brain, then read. I will write those options on the board. Is everybody ready? Okay, go ahead. Use that strategy. Use your finger to put it on the key words. Read the sentences around and find what makes the most sense.